putting up a 30 by 96 here. It's not gonna have the roof vent on it like that one does. It will be strictly roll sides for ventilation. Probably will put some fans in it at some point, but right now we're just gonna do roll sides and big doors on the ends. I did go pay the extra to have the 5-foot tall sides on this one. That'll give us a little bit more ventilation, but also to give me a little bit more room for getting a tractor through there. Because we will be growing in the ground, as I've said. And I know probably going to get questions about doing grading for a high tunnel that we're going to grow in the ground. Well, there might be a little bit of red dirt smeared around on top from the final finish grading on this. But what we did here is skin the topsoil off, put it to the side, built the pad, put the topsoil, it's about 6 inches of topsoil on top of this high tunnel pad. So the topsoil is there, and it should be really good. This is the field that our strawberries are going to be in for 2024. I've got to gas the strawberry beds within the week in order for my plant back to allow enough time for my plant back to get my strawberries planted on time. But with all the rain we've had, I sure hope we don't get any more right now, because it's amazing how quick those things, some darn little weeds will pop up, because this was just worked like 2 days ago. But yeah, I guess I'm in a holding pattern at the moment, unfortunately, until this will dry out a little bit. Our sand is really light, sandy soil, as you can see, but too wet is just too wet. So this needs some sunshine on it. I like for it to have good moisture in it because it makes good beds. The beds form up really nice. It does a good job. But this is too darn wet right now. I'm not too prideful to show my screw-ups on the internet, I guess. This was sweet corn. This should have been mid-September sweet corn right here. And when I was getting ready to start lifting some plastic, I was burning everything down with Gramoxone. This is some that I burned down. And I finished up, and there was just, I had the Gramoxone mixed pretty hot, I will say that. I was spraying probably 1.5 quarts to the acre, I think. And I finished up, and there was just a little bit of Gramoxone in the bottom of the tank. And I knew it, but I didn't really think a lot about it. We're talking less than 5 gallons. And I wish I had just ran back over something and tried to spray it all out, because when you got a big sprayer, heels and stuff, it's hard to spray out the last little bit. And Gramoxone especially is not something I'm just going to drain out on the ground. Well, I didn't think a whole lot about it, and I mixed up some Roundup and proceeded to spray some other things. When I got finished, I had just a little bit of Roundup left in the tank, and I thought, I'm going to run over that sweet corn and clean it up. I did, and as you can see, the residual Gramoxone annihilated this patch of sweet corn. So that was a pretty expensive loss there. I have got some late okra coming along here though. that the bugs are eating on a little bit, but it is blinging. It has really kicked it in gear in the past week or so, but still no flowers. Okra is so darn slow. Just when you think it's starting to put on, it's not quite ready. We've got a bunch of purple hull peas. Possibly too many purple hull peas. We'll see. This is a pink-eyed purple hull top pick that I grow. I love these things. They produce really good, and they're super fast and easy to pick because you can virtually stand straight up and pick all these things because all the beans or peas are right on top of the plant. Purple hulls are a big seller for us. But we've got a pretty good sized block of them. And snap beans, which are just about ready to start picking. Look at that. I've talked on here before about strike green beans being one of my favorites. Just look at that green bean plant right there. This variety is called Strike, and they will get with the program. Now I have ran quite a bit of potassium nitrate to these, I will say that. That's got a lot to do with the potassium nitrate and keeping them sprayed, keeping them healthy. This is old strawberry land, and as you can see, I had great germination, and then I've had some of this junk, and I think that I'm thinking it's Rhizoctonia. I don't know about what it looks like on larger, older plants, but on the younger plants, the way it looked when they were dying, that's why there's all these holes in the stand. I believe it was Rhizoctonia, but I'm not 100% sure on that. My agronomy stinks.
There's a strawberry.
Here's a yeah. Strawberry plant still alive? Yeah. These are a couple of rows. This one actually never had strawberries in it. When I bedded up strawberry plastic last year, I got my rows too close together and ended up not being able to lay plastic on this one oddball row here. This row had so many mouse holes in it that I couldn't reuse it. But more snap beans, and the half runners are right down here. Did a lot less half runners, only did 4 rows, but I've been trying to take really good care of them. We did put them on 72-inch sticks. I think I mentioned that a while back, and they are getting it. They've still got a bunch of growing to do. Half runners will produce all the way to the top, so that's why you benefit from the taller stick, the better off you are. Clearly they need to be sprayed pretty bad, but we're getting close to being able to run through and pick these. There's quite a few beans hanging in here, bigger stuff down towards the bottom. I believe this is the first time I've ever used these 72-inch sticks for half runners. I bought them for using with heirloom tomatoes, and it's just such a struggle to keep heirloom tomatoes healthy long enough to really utilize 72-inch stick because of the season and the way our climate is here in North Carolina, the humidity, but also I guess it's just the life cycle. Unfortunately, I don't really know how to explain it very well, but the older a plant is, seems like the more susceptible they are to disease. So you're just about better off to do multiple succession plantings of tomatoes as opposed to, indeterminate heirloom tomatoes. Theoretically, if you keep it alive long enough, you could pick it for the bulk of the summer, but it's just not economical because chemicals are so expensive and those heirloom tomato seeds are so darn cheap. But anyway, so we don't use these 72-inch sticks anymore. And I think from now on, based on what I'm seeing here, we're probably going to use these sticks for half runners from now on. The guys are not real crazy about it, I don't think, because it's difficult for them to put these strings on because they're so tall. But since I'm over this far, I might as well take y'all down and show you our late tomatoes and such before we get on to other things. Alright, so my GoPro just out of the blue died. We'll try to finish this up on my phone here. Tell me which one you think's better. So this is our kind of hodgepodge of late crops here. We got 4 rows. These rows are a lot longer. I think these rows are between 400 and 500 foot long, white plastic here. Row middles need to be sprayed again. Looks like I need to run a little magnesium on these tomatoes. I don't think I have done that yet, but I've got my setup right here ready. This is actually really close to the creek. It's kind of nice because the pump idles and waters this whole thing at 12 psi. It works out pretty good, saves fuel. But typical for us, we've got Brandywine, we got Cherokee Purple, and Red Morning and Red Bounty. We do have some later cucumbers that are coming along. Be picking those here pretty shortly. A small amount of October beans. We had them early, and then we didn't have any mid-season, and people were not happy about it. They were bent out of shape, wanting to know when we were going to have more October beans. So we've got some coming. Squash and zucchini, and some cukes that are just about played out. Disease is just about to get the better of them. I've tried to keep them sprayed, but growing pickle cukes on the ground is really hard to keep them healthy when they get stomped every other day picking them. And it's no fault of the harvest crew, it's just the way it goes. You can't get in there and find all the cucumbers without kind of stomping the vines up. Alright, well, this is the next afternoon here. GoPro's charged back up, so let me know in the comments if you think the little section there that I recorded on my phone is better, or if the GoPro footage is better. But the guys got all of the ground post in today, and now they're getting going on putting bows up. They are pretty good, pretty dang efficient at this. This is the third greenhouse that y'all built. Is this one number 3 for y'all? What they're doing there with that pipe wrench is these holes right here have to line up perfectly straight. Ideally, you should be able to see through these holes all the way from one end of the greenhouse to the other. And sometimes in the driving process, they get a little twisted. So they're taking that pipe wrench and straightening the holes back up so that it'll line up when they set the bows in. And I know somebody probably gonna tell me our scaffolding's not safe. It is what it is. We've been doing it for a long time. So we go through and put the bows up, and I don't know, these boys are the experts. I've done it before, but they work together like cogs. Everybody knows what everybody else is doing, so they're a lot more efficient at it than I am. But they will, I'm not sure if they get all the bows up and then start putting the purlins in, or if they get enough bows up to where they got room to start putting purlins, and they go on with the purlins and take it on down the greenhouse. I'm not sure which way they go with that. Once you get the bows up and the purlins in, You just we'll set some posts for the end walls and do a little bit of framework on the end walls. Put some baseboards on it, put plastic on it, and it's pretty well done. They go up relatively quickly. We had a hurricane come through eastern North Carolina yesterday. Thankfully, it didn't dump any more rain on us, but really dropped the humidity behind that storm, and it's kicked up a little bit of wind. The sun has shone all day, so this strawberry land here is not dry, but it's getting drier. So I'm gonna try it because we're down to the wire. I've got to run Vapam on this, and I've got less than a week to get my Vapam run in order to have sufficient time for the fumigant to do its job. So we're going to try to pull a disc across this and get some of this residue cut up. Maybe 2 more passes with the disc, and we'll go back and chisel it and break up all the compaction from discing it. Well, they say farmers are never happy. It's either too wet or too dry. I guess that's accurate. Parts of this field, if we could get all the residue worked down to the point where it's all like this, I'd rather have it worked out better, but this would probably make a bed. But this junk like this, and some of the bigger pieces of corn stalk and whatnot, that is most definitely not going to work down, or not going to form a bed. Part of this is perfect, like this right here. This is the way I like to work it. It's got moisture in it, but it's not too wet. But then we've got certain areas of the field where the wonderful state of North Carolina fixed me up with this giant ditch they dug in the corner of my field. It's kind of covered up now and you can't quite tell how big it is, but they dug like a 3-foot deep hole here where that culvert runs out, and they have caused erosion and caused this to stay wet because it holds waist deep water right there. But all down through here now, where water's been pouring out of that culvert, is sloppy wet. Not sloppy, but you get the idea. I had to pick up the disc and I had to leave this area, which really needs to be worked because it's full of residue. But I thought it was all going to be dry enough, but it's not. It's too wet out here. And that's a problem. Hopefully what I did get worked will dry up and we can get back across it pretty quick, because we're cutting it close on time. But anyway, I just kind of wanted to give y'all an update of everything we got going on. We'll have some plastic laying videos and maybe a fumigant video coming up here pretty quick. Appreciate you watching. See you next time.